Hey guys, it's Paulie from Diving and Digging with AOS. I've got you out on another special adventure today. This one's a cracker. It's really close to a highway, but it's hidden away. Not many people know about this one. Let's go have a look. Get me out of here. Here we are. Three. The Wheat Sheaf Inn once stood on this site and was run by a popular publican, John Hannell, and his Mrs. Mary Ann. He also had a race course attached to the side of the hotel, which was operated a punt service across the river. The pub was known as the Halfway House, or the house that Jack built on account of when the coaches came through from Newcastle to Maitland, they'd stop here and change horses and drivers. Come over here, I'll show you what's left of the place. The hotel was pulled down in the 60s, and a lot of fill was put on the site, so there's nothing much left of the pub and the race course. But when you come down on this bit of a floodplain, we have the Hanel family crypt. This is a really spooky place. We'll go around the back of it and check it out. Look at that, eh? Built up on a grass mound, so it can't be washed away with the floods. Look at this beautiful wrought iron and sandstone work around here. So here's John Hanel and Mary Ann Hannell's tomb, the proprietors of the Wheat Sheaf Inn that was located just through the bushes. Come over to the Hanel family crypt and I'll show you some bottles that I bought off the shelf with me. Let's go. So the Wheat Sheaf Inn became the family home and was renamed to Riverview. It stood on this spot until about the 1960s, where it was pulled down. The Wheat Sheaf Inn was located on the banks of the Hanel River. The mozzies were really prolific here and super bad. So while diving behind us in the river, I reached down in the rocks and I found this small green bottle. It's called Marnie's Mosquito Drops. Just a nice 3 lines on it. Nothing else. Bit of a crown on the bottom. This was obviously used to apply to yourself to keep those Hexham greys away. So I look out for unusual bottles when I go digging and diving. Although they may be common, this is a New South Wales rated water and company limited from Newcastle block top skittle. From looking at it, you've got the embossing on the front here, and you've got his trademark on the back with a bit of soda inclusion in the glass here. But if you have a look at the top up here as I rotate it, it's sort of squashed over to one side in this area here. So I've got some tiny ones that are kind of overlooked in my collection because the big pods predominantly stand out amongst ginger beers, but in between them I've got some smaller bottles. This one here is a beautiful little Majolica glaze. That means it's got different colours all over. It's all running down, almost looks like artwork. It's got its little spout here. Now I treated myself this one from eBay. It's branded R Fowler Limited Australia with the Archer on it. The colouring in the glaze is spectacular. That would have contained mercury in a dentist shop that they would have used in fillings. That was the stuff that sent people crazy. So I brought another skittle along with me. It's not a blob top, it's a crown seal that's been applied after the bottle was hand blown. The company from this one is called Grind and Roll from Cessnock and has the iconic rooster trademark. That's a really nice bottle, this one. Rooster in the circle, great colour. Made by the Ross brothers, who made exceptionally glass in Sydney. That's that nice green that you see around here. All their bottles are like that. So back in the olden days, hygiene wasn't of utmost importance, and only the rich people in society could afford products like toothpaste and hair cream and toothbrushes and deodorants and soaps. Everyone else just stank. One of my favourite things to find, and they don't turn up that often, toothpaste jars. One of the nicest toothpaste pots I got, I found at an old mining camp, is this Williams Swiss Violet Shaving Cream. Prepared by the JB Williams Company, genuine Yankee shaving soap. The story with this one goes that the weekend I was in the creek, I found the top half of the lid. That's this part here. And then the following week I went back, and 10 yards down from where I found this, I got a base. It's a bit crazy, but they sort of marry up beautifully together. I like it how it's got all the purple flowers and the green stems, a bit of colour in there. That goes a long way. And this writing is almost in brown. So keeping with the predominant people in society, the writing ink that they used back then came in many different forms. As a basic budget one, you'd find a stone ink, which got you by, but the office people used something a little bit more special. Check this one out. This is called the pumpkin ink. Now it sat into a desk set. The base was sitting into a hole, and it sat just above it like that with all these beautiful little ridges over it. The top is known as a sheared top. It was sheared off the top of the glass blower's rod with a set of iron shears, and not finished, just left like that. Cork was put in it, the edges of the glass bit into the cork, and then it was waxed over it. That's a beaut piece of glass, isn't it? Okay guys, I've got all these bottles here. Let's have a look at this lineup. Okay, so first up we have the Butte Ryan and Rolf Crown Seal Skittle from Cessnock, and then we go over to the New South Wales blob top Skittle with the wonky top. Really early, unusually shaped bottle. Down to the Williams Swiss Violet Yankee Shaving Soap. Got that beautiful little pumpkin ink down there. That's a beautiful blue colour too. Marnie's Mosquito Drops. That's a nice little bottle. I do like that. Don't know why, it's very plain. I think it's because the embossing is different on it. Goes a different direction. And then you got that awesome Majolica glazed mercury jar. So thank you for coming and checking out this family crypt. Have a look at this big steel door here. That's pretty solid. I'll give you a quick look at what's on top of the tomb. It looks like it's a domed ceiling inside with all this beautiful wrought iron. Oh, that's gorgeous, that. All hand forged. Nice sandstone. And then cement from the early days. Now this is the side of the Hanel family Wheat Sheaf Hotel. This is a picture of what it looked like back in its glory days. We're just wandering along the riverbank to the side of the old hotel and the tomb. You see some interesting things like this old brick just here. And as you walk along, there's bits of steel poking out. These timbers look of the age. They're stuck up into the bank. I wonder if this is the spot where John Hanel had his punt service running from. There was a wharf frontage here at one stage. If you line up all those posts there in front of us, look at that. There's even one out in the water. Here we go, have a look at this piece. Have a look at these pieces. Oh, this looks like it's a lid off something. Oh, that's gorgeous. Got a nice early glaze on it. Nice floral pattern running around it. That's pretty good, isn't it? And then we have another piece of a vase here. An ashtray. You can see where the cigarettes went into the holes there. There's a nice plate with a Greek pattern around the outside. Hey look, there's some more of this beautiful. I think it'd have to be a lid. That's pretty cool, that is. Then you've got the river out that way. We're going to head down and get onto an island down here, and I'll show you the remains of an old stone house. I'll catch you down there. we just come through the front gate, walk down this garden path. Let's have a look over here. Wow, have a look at that sandstone wall. So we've still got some of the original garden growing here. A few years ago the trust actually maintained it and had it all mowed, but as you can see, it's a beautiful big sandstone building. A few blackberries growing in there now. So it looked like it had 4 rooms with the walls. Look at that. Oh, that's that lime made from crushed oyster shells. So there would have been some lime kilns around here where they would have burnt that. Pop round this side where there's no blackberries and I won't get spiked. See that beautiful wall, huh? Oh, you see all the shells in here. This is giving you indication that it's about 1850s, 1860s. So you've got one room sitting in here. I don't really know what early settler owned this property. There's another room there. Then you have the whole backyard out this way. Come down here, I'll show you the well. That's something really special, isn't it? Nice little picnic area. I wish they'd mow it some more. So here's the well. It's a big one, but being wide, it wasn't that deep. They filled it in with some sand. It was only 2 meters deep at the most. Being wide, I think it was more of a water storage than a well. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. And then you come down the back of the property over here. And you have access to the Hanel River. There's the back gate. That would have been a beautiful home in its time. A lot of effort went into that. So we just sneak down here towards the mangroves. With all old houses, if you take a punt and say they threw the rubbish at the back door, here we go. We start off with some bit of pottery here. There's another bit of pottery in here. Nice and cracked. So move along out here. Oh look, there's a bottle just lying there. That's got a date on this one. I'll tell you what it is in a second. There we go. 1916. From the Australian Bottle Company. There's another chunk of glass down there under that log. Another piece there. Some more pottery that goes out through this way. There's another piece of a bottle just sitting here in the mangroves. Bits of glass. All that broken plate there. It's a bit of a whiskey top. There we go. Bottom big bottom. You see the bottoms on them kicked up like that. That's nice heavy oily glass. So just on the way up to the house, coming out of those mangroves, we spied a few interesting bits and pieces lying up here on the bank. What's this here? Oh, that's a lice comb. Yes. That's pretty cool. Just sit there for hours taking lice out. What do we got here? Bit of a square bottle. And then just over to this side, look at that sucker, just sitting there by himself. It's not spectacular, but when you find a bottle, and it's an old bottle, that's pretty cool. Oh, perfume. complete. As we swing around over here, still looking at the pottery, there's a nice chunk of blue glass. Where did I see that? Oh, there he is. Blue glass there, black glass there, bit of green glass there. Oh, that would have been a preserving jar, that is. So I picked it well at the back of the gate, throw all the rubbish in the swamp. Alright, let's go up here, have a chat. So this is a small creek that ran alongside of that property. Let's have a wander through here, see if there's anything sticking out. It's low tide, mud dried out. Some rabbits have been digging in here. There's a bit of pottery sitting there. Always keep your eyes on the ground. You never know what's sticking out of the mud. Yeah, look at that. There's another bit there. Plain white. And then you come to this beautiful. Look at the effort that went into that. Brick arch, little brick bridge. These days they stick a pipe in there and bury it. Just in behind that old historic house which is over that way, walking through that creek, I've come across this old piece of timber here, which doesn't strike, you know, it's a sleeper, but if you look at it the way I see it, you've got these two holes here that have been bored through it, followed by those four. One, yep. Those four holes there. Let's see what's underneath here. There's a square hole cut. And another set of 4 holes there. That may have been a rigging off an old ship because it's kind of curved in like that, so the ropes would have come out for east, I would imagine. That square hole would have had another piece of timber coming out of it or secured it to something maybe sideways. So if you look at it like in this angle, there you go. You can actually see it may have been off an old ship or something that sort of ended up down here. It's always nice to find a bit of history like that in the bush that's overlooked and no one really notices it. So when you start having a closer look, you see stuff like this. Cool. Righto, so let's have a look at what I brought over for you. The first one I'm going to show you, I dug at a pit in Maitland and it was at the very, very bottom. I think it went down to about 2.5 metres and the bottom was clay, and I thought I'd hit a stormwater pipe. And so I prized this guy out, came out complete with handle and everything. Have a look at this. Got a stamp across the front there, A. Houtman. He was a gin maker. And this must have been one of his gin bottles. As you can see along here, from the potter who made it, all of those fingerprints where it's been twisted up off the potter's wheel. You see the handle's been pushed on. You can actually stick your thumbs into those holes there and reapply the handle that's there. It's pretty surprising that the handle actually is still on. A lot of these come out of the ground and the handles are missing on it. This was a pretty special bottle when I found it, and it kind of takes a predominant spot in my collection. There's something that I've personally found, just the crudeness of it. It does it for me. So the next one I'm going to show you is a 5-ounce 3 mouthful cod bottle, Niagara painting, from a company in Sydney, Summons & Co, Sydney. They're a kangaroo trademark, registered. I found this one in the Hunter River over at Raymond Terrace, and the water cleared up just enough that I could see the kangaroo on it, and I knew I found something pretty special. I was happy with that. It's got the bottle maker's mark on the back here. Let's see what it says. It's a patent safe groove, sole maker Dan Rylands, Barnsley. A patent safe groove. That's your groove there. I don't know what's safe about it, but the marble's in there. Still has the original washer in there. So the first time I found one of these bottles, because it's so heavily embossed and got a big picture on the front of it, that blew me away. Warner's Safe Cure from Melbourne. The safe on it, that would have been a pretty decent dose judging by the size of the bottle. If I just pop it up to the light, you see all the swirls in the glass, the dark browns and the ambers. So she's not a very thick bottle, but that's beautiful in itself, right? You can see the picture through the back of it. The clarity in that is awesome. That bottle presents really well. They're not real rare, but if you dig one, you're pretty happy about it. One of the most commonest cod bottles you'll find around the Newcastle Hunter Valley area is from the New South Wales Aerated Water Company. It's got the trademark on the back, GE Redmond Newcastle, an ice cream cone, because they were the Aerated Water Company and Confectionery. That's what that C there stands for. This bottle usually comes out in a green, but I grabbed the purple one off the shelf. I thought it was quite girly, beautiful colour. After the First World War, they tried to make clear glass by putting manganese dioxide into it, which worked really well until the bottles were exposed to UV light, otherwise the sun, and they changed to a shade of purple. The darkness on the colour depends on how much of the chemical was in the glass. So this clear spirit flask, in the shape of a small barrel, sort of squash, you can see the bands on the barrel and the timber slats on it, is a French registered design because it has decoys down in this section here. The most unusual thing about this bottle is on the base of it. It has the British registration diamond, which is a bit of a mystery to solve it. All these symbols in here lead up to who made it, what day it was made, what month it was made, and the year it was made. So I have this old newsletter from the late Macquarie Antique Bottle Club back in the 80s, and they were kind enough to put out during that time a code breaker for this bottle. So the top of my bottle says 19, so we're here because I'm pretty sure that the bottle's dated after 1869. So that number 10 there, we've got a number 19, which is the day of the month the bottle was made, so it would have been the 19th. Over on this side we have the month mark, it's the year mark, sorry, which is 1875, and the month down the bottom here was in November. So my bottle is dated 1875, 19th of November. So I have some broken pieces of crockery here, made by Dinans, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, WA, London, ED. These pieces of crockery are pretty special. We're sitting on the banks of the Hunter River, and these are attributed to the Hunter River Steamship Company Limited, Newcastle. This would have been a cup, and that would have been a plate off the boat. Both in really poor condition. You can see the salt starting to eat through this one. Eventually this will just chip away. We've got to keep them stored in water. This one's come good. It shows you the flag that they used to sail their boats on. Their port was located at Morpeth up the Hunter River near the old train station, and they would have travelled down the river behind us, probably stopped off at this cottage here, picked up some goods, dropped off some goods, then followed their way into Newcastle. These plates were dived on in Newcastle Harbour, and imagine how personal the stories are of the cook or the on board the boat when he was cleaning up after dinner, and he's actually dropped the plates, and to get rid of the evidence just tossed it off into the water. Alright guys, thanks for joining me at this historical site on the island. Let's have a bit of a look at the lineup. So I've got the Summons and Company Sydney little kangaroo cod. He's a bit milky, but that's the way I like them. If you want an old bottle, you want an old bottle. And then we've got that nice purple New South Wales cod. Look at the colour in the base there shining through with the light. That's pretty dominant, isn't it? And that beautiful big A. Houtman. You can see all the lines in it, for it was all handmade. And we come back over to that unusual French design, British registered little spirit flask with the diamond on the bottom. That shows you the 1875 date. Historically significant Hunter River Steamship Company Limited. Crockery. There's that little bottle we found over here in the mud. And the Warner Safe Cure. Safe Cure because it was safe to have and didn't upset your belly. Let's just pick him up, have another look at that trademark on there. Now look at the detail in there. Trademark on the lock. Shows you the hinges, even the feet. Look at that. It's in 3D. From Melbourne. Again, like I said, not a very thick bottle. I think it held about a pint. Cure whatever ails you. So thank you for joining me on this little adventure today, letting me showcase some of the bottles I have in my collection. I hope you really enjoyed it. We'll catch up with you next time. Bye.